AI or AGI that's at a level that it can really do almost any cognitive, I think really not almost, really any cognitive task. It's just a question of when. One could debate, is it, smarter than any human at the end of next year, or is it 2 years or 3 years? But it's not more than 5 years, that's for sure.
2026 could be the year artificial intelligence technology really tips the scales. In this video, we'll tour every public prediction made by the biggest names in the field, founders, researchers, and investors, so you'll have a clear picture of how they think the next 12 months will unfold and what that might mean for the rest of us. Let's start with Dario Amodei. Amodei, an AI researcher who ran OpenAI's science team before co-founding Anthropic, the lab behind Claude, reminds people that he helped steer GPT-2 and GPT-3 into existence. In a recent talk, he said advanced code generation systems should equal the very best human programmers by late 2026, and that by the close of 2025, we'll already be using tools that feel professional grade, able to read, write, debug, and optimize large projects with only light human oversight.
Winter break, as I was looking at where things were scheduled to scale within Anthropic and also what was happening outside Anthropic, I looked at it and I said, for coding, we're gonna see very serious things by the end of 2025, and by the end of 2026, it might be, everything, close to the level of the best humans. And I think of all the things that I'm good at, right? I think of all the times when I wrote code, and, I think of it as like this intellectual activity, and boy, am I smart that I can do this. And, it's like a part of my identity that I'm like, good at this, and I get mad when others are better than I am. And then I'm like, oh my God, there are going to be these systems that, and even as the one who's building this, even as one of the ones who benefits most from it, there's still something a bit threatening about it.
Yeah.
I just think we need to acknowledge that. Like it's wrong not to tell people that is coming or to try to sugarcoat it.
Amodei also told podcaster Lex Fridman that the leap to artificial general intelligence, software that can learn any mental task a person can, could plausibly arrive in 2026 or 2027, though he cautioned that exact dates depend on research surprises, policy choices, and hardware progress.
So 2026, 2027 is when you effectively get to AGI across the board. And it's the threshold moment. Whoever's ahead then is ahead forever. Is that what you're saying?
Potentially. I mean, we don't know these things, but there's a risk of this.
That's happening at a particularly uncertain time geopolitically, but we'll get to that.
I've heard those same years, floated as, no, I'm aware of how frightening this is.
During the same interview, he explained that AI development tends to move in uneven sprints. Sudden breakthroughs accelerate everything, while bottlenecks can stall progress for months. Because those swings average out to a steep overall curve, the community's timelines keep compressing even when short-term forecasts wobble.
If I say 2026 or 2027, there will be like a zillion people on Twitter who will be like, AI CEO said 2026, 2020, and it'll be repeated for like the next 2 years that this is definitely when I think it's going to happen. So whoever's exporting these clips will crop out the thing I just said and only say the thing I'm about to say. But I'll just say it anyway. So if you extrapolate the curves that we've had so far, right? If you say, well, I don't know, we're starting to get to like PhD level, and last year we were at undergraduate level, and the year before we were at like the level of a high school student. Again, you can quibble with at what tasks and for what. We're still missing modalities, but those are being added, like computer use was added, like image-in was added, like image generation has been added. If you just kind of and this is totally unscientific, but if you just kind of eyeball the rate at which these capabilities are increasing, it does make you think that we'll get there by 2026 or 2027.
Amodei expanded on the theme in his blog post, Machines of Loving Grace. There he wrote, "Time is short, and we must accelerate our actions to match accelerating AI progress, possibly by 2026 or 2027, and no later than 2030. The capabilities of AI systems will be best thought of as akin to an entirely new state, populated by highly intelligent people." Commentators summarize this with the vivid image of A country of geniuses inside a data center should prepare for machines that outperform the smartest humans in most domains. On the robotics side, Musk claims Tesla will have about 10,000 Optimus factory bots on duty before this year ends. Data gathered from those units will train a second-generation robot, scheduled for mass production in 2026, which should learn new tasks faster and operate safely around people without special cages or markers.
Grok's coming to Tesla, so you'll be able to access Grok through your Tesla, and you'll just be able to ask it to do whatever you want. You could ask your car to go pick up a friend or anything. You can think of it, the car will be able to do it. Yeah, you'll be able to ask your Tesla to go pick up groceries, pretty much anything. Optimus is really going to be next level. You'll be able to skin Optimus pretty much with anything. So people on the internet have asked me to make catgirls real, and actually you can make catgirls real if you have a robot. You have a robot catgirl. Yeah, Optimus will be able to pick up the kids from school, and Optimus will be able to be school if you want. Be able to teach kids anything. Yeah, and it'll support any language too. I think AGI will be next year, probably. It's not next year, let's say 2026 at the latest for AGI. At the latest. I hope it's nice to us. So, one defines AGI as smarter than any human. I think we're less than 24 months away from that. Yeah, please be nice to us, AGI. Humanoid robots will usher in a level of abundance that was hard to imagine. There will be no shortage of.
When things are changing rapidly, the ability to predict the future, I think, becomes a lot harder because the rate of change is so great. But I think some things are fairly obvious to predict, which is that we'll have AI or AGI that's at a level that it can really do almost any cognitive, I think really not almost, really any cognitive task. It's just a question of when. One could debate, is it, smarter than any human at the end of next year, or is it 2 years or 3 years? But it's not more than 5 years, that's for sure. I think it's probably end of next year before AI can do better than any individual human could do. But it's a much higher bar to say, well, is it smarter than human intelligence collectively? But if the rate of change continues, that's when I think probably 2029 or maybe 2030 is where digital intelligence will probably exceed all human intelligence combined.
Sam Altman, the OpenAI CEO whose earlier forecasts famously lined up with ChatGPT's debut, keeps stressing day-to-day utility. Years ago, he said everyone would soon talk to AI assistants that draft essays, plan trips, and write code. Today, that is normal. His current focus is on tools that let creators describe an idea once and have software, text, images, video, or even hardware designs appear almost instantly. Speaking in September 2024, Altman laid out an 18-month horizon, meaning through 2025 and 2026, in which people work beside an AI team of specialized experts. He envisions personal tutors fluent in any subject and language, healthcare models that triage symptoms, and no-code platforms able to build complete apps from a short prompt. He stresses the rollout will be gradual, but says the pieces are already emerging in research labs and limited beta programs. Now to Demis Hassabis, the British neuroscientist who co-founded Google DeepMind. His group intends to merge its flagship language model Gemini with the video understanding system Veo, aiming for a single network that grasps both text and real-world physics, an ambitious step toward a universal digital assistant. Gemini was multimodal from day one, while Veo trains on enormous archives of public YouTube footage, per Google's updated terms of service. By fusing them, DeepMind hopes to create an omni model that can answer a spreadsheet question, caption a photo, dissect a movie scene, and plan a robotic manipulation task, all in the same conversation. Their target window for meaningful public demos is late 2025 to 2026.
We've been working on this for more than 20 plus years. We've sort of had a consistent view about AGI being a system that's capable of exhibiting all the cognitive capabilities humans can. And I think we're getting, closer and closer, but I think we're still probably a handful of years away.
Okay, and so what is it going to take to get there?
So the models today are pretty capable. Of course, we've all interacted with the language models and now they're becoming multimodal. I think there are still some missing attributes, things like reasoning, hierarchical planning, long-term memory. There's quite a few capabilities that the current systems, I would say, don't have. They're also not consistent across the board. You know, they're very, very strong in some things, but they're still surprisingly weak and flawed in other areas. So you'd want an AGI to have pretty consistent, robust behavior across the board, all the cognitive tasks. And I think one thing that's clearly missing, and I always had as a benchmark for AGI, was the ability for these systems to invent their own hypotheses or conjectures about science, not just prove existing ones. So of course that's extremely useful already to prove an existing maths conjecture or something like that, or play a game of Go to a world champion level. But could a system invent Go? Could it come up with a new Riemann hypothesis? Or could it come up with relativity back in the days that Einstein did it with the information that he had? And I think today's systems are still pretty far away from having that kind of creative, inventive capability.
Okay, so a couple years away till we hit AGI.
I think, I would say probably like 3 to 5 years.
Asked directly about AGI, Hassabis estimates the breakthrough is 3 to 5 years away, lining up with a time frame between 2027 and 2029 if current momentum holds.